With all the speculation about President Biden's waning cognitive capacity, it's easy to lose track of what House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, third in line for the presidency, has been working on behind the scenes in recent months, and what she might be capable of engineering in the months ahead. As far as we can tell, she and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer are going to be the ones in charge of the decision to trigger the 25th Amendment to end Biden's presidency and install Vice President Kamala Harris, who, as you recall, never won a single primary, even in her home state. That's during her brief run for president. Oh, and if you think she won't jump at the chance to usurp the presidency, you must be a Biden voter. Anyway, let's take a look at what dear Speaker was up to back in January in the weeks leading up to Joe Biden's inauguration. The Speaker was very busy the day of January 8th. First, she had a phone call with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley. The implications of this phone call are very troubling. After the phone call, she sent a letter to her Democrat colleagues to tell them about it. Quote, "This morning, I spoke to General Milley to discuss available precautions for preventing an unstable president from initiating military hostilities or accessing the launch codes and ordering a nuclear strike. The situation of this unhinged president could not be more dangerous, and we must do everything that we can to protect the American people from this unbalanced assault on our country and our democracy," end quote. That was the letter. President Trump was, quote, "unhinged, dangerous, unbalanced." I would say that a Speaker of the House who would quiver with hate as she ripped up the President's State of the Union address on national TV might herself be considered unhinged. And it goes much further than that. In a section called "Removing the President from Office," I'm not kidding, Pelosi wrote, quote, "As you know, there is growing momentum about the invocation of the 25th Amendment, which would allow the Vice President and the majority of the Cabinet to remove the President for his incitement of insurrection and the danger he still poses. Yesterday, Leader Schumer and I placed a call to Vice President Pence, and we still hope to hear from him as soon as possible with a positive answer as to whether he and the Cabinet will honor their oath to the Constitution of the American people," end quote. Well, I hope they weren't holding their breath for Vice President Pence to get back to them on that. On second thought, it might have been better for the country if they had been, because they'd still be holding their breath. Now, did she really bring up the 25th Amendment with General Milley? President of Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton, he says correctly that if this is true, it sets a dangerous precedent that could undermine the president's role as commander-in-chief, as well as the separation of powers. So, to find out, Judicial Watch filed a Freedom of Information request with the Defense Department, but they failed to respond. And no one is surprised about that. So now they filed a lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for Washington, D.C. They're demanding any and all records having to do with this phone call, including but not limited to any and all transcripts, recordings, and or summaries of the call, as well as any other records produced in preparation for, during, and or pursuant to the call. They also demand any and all communication between General Milley and House Speaker Pelosi between November 1st, 2020, and the present. November 1st, that's an interesting start date for the records they want, considering that was even before the election. I wonder if Judicial Watch has gotten wind of other conversations that might have taken place even before the transition period. The same day as the phone call, General Milley's spokesperson confirmed that he'd had a conversation, but according to U.S. News, in a carefully crafted statement, distanced the Pentagon from any attempts by the House Speaker or any other congressional leaders to strip the President of his authorities. Well, I would certainly hope so. General Milley deserves some credit for stressing the political neutrality of the military at a time when rumors of a coup were swirling. That was all just a hoax, though Nancy Pelosi used it as a pretext to call up thousands of National Guard troops and merrily festoon Capitol Hill with razor wire. All of that is still in place, by the way. If Nancy Pelosi had any sense of shame, she would be mortified for having accused President Trump of insurrection, as there was no evidence whatsoever that he had anything to do with the January 6th breach of the Capitol building. She herself is in large part responsible for the tragedy, as she failed to put in the proper security, despite warnings beforehand. Also, the FBI has just released security footage of the person who placed the 2 fully functional pipe bombs the night before at the DNC and RNC headquarters, most likely, they say, as a diversionary tactic. In other words, it was part of the planned protest that was carried out during President Trump's rally. Trump incited nothing since this happened before he even spoke. So did Nancy Pelosi actually talk this up with the Joint Chiefs of Staffs? Perhaps Judicial Watch, through the courts, will be able to uncover a bit more of her spider's web. Nothing they find out would surprise me, because she's already demonstrated over and over what a treacherous person she can be. Well, thanks for watching. Now, if you enjoyed that video, consider subscribing to the channel below and clicking the notification bell. Leave a like and a comment, and then share this video as well if you really enjoyed it. And if you'd like more of my news, analysis, and commentary, of course you can sign up for my newsletter at MikeHuckabee.com. It is completely free, delivered to your email inbox twice daily. Well, that's it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.